internet. Welcome to the Intoxicated Podcast, a weekly comedy talk show that dives into the personal lives of comedians, experts, and creators. I'm your host, Sarah McClellan, a very amateur stand-up comedian and self-proclaimed sad girl. It's the comedy podcast with a lot of heart. Feel hard and talk hard. This is the Intoxicated Podcast.
Like, if you think about it, like, everyone starts at a different level. And then sometimes we get mad at people who start better because we expect them to have the same kind of growth, but maybe they plateau at different times, but they started better, so we can't be like, oh, you're not doing as good now. It's like, well, we started 10 times as good as you, so get over it.
True.
Like, then you can catch up. Other people can catch up to the people that start better. That's not what it's about. It's just like everyone's got a different place that they start at and go at. It's none of anyone's business how everyone's doing. Like, shut up.
Love that. Shut up.
Actually, we probably haven't actually started yet, have we?
Well, let's
'Cause
actually
if
start.
If we actually start, that'll be my rant.
Okay,
Start with ours. So.
We will. Well, let's get into it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so excited for this.
Yeah.
I am so excited to have back on the podcast one of my favorite people on this earth, on this planet. I mean, I don't know where you stand in terms of like top 10 people in my life, but you're close. You're up there. You're up there.
Yeah.
I enjoy you quite a bit. You are an OG podcast guest because I was just telling Brittany that she was the 3rd video episode guest back in the day. Brittany Campbell!
Hey.
Comedian, amazing person, great friend.
Yeah.
What else are you?
Oh, talented, skills, handy, smart, strong, a lot of things.
Smart.
You know, how long do you got?
You're very handy.
You're
You're resourceful.
Listen, I adapt and overcome very easily to situations. I can make anything work. But I'm also only handy because all of my dude friends are weak comic men who don't know how to do anything. Not they know how to do their own things, but like, let's be real. Like, who are you going to ask to build a deck? Me or like one of the other dudes? And I don't even know how to build a deck, but I'm sure I can figure it out. Just in comparison.
I truly, I should put that in the description. We'll build you a deck.
Yeah.
Brittany Campbell.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Because you did your solo episode with me way back when.
Yeah.
You've been on some live streams too.
Yeah.
But other than that, you've never been back on with another person, right? Not on an episode.
No, I was gone though. I was gone.
You've been kind of here and back, and
yeah, I'm a roamer.
You're a roamer.
Yeah, big time.
But you've been back for a while now.
Almost a year now. Well, it's been 10 months in Nova Scotia. I've been back.
Have you been enjoying being back and being rooted in a space?
Yeah. The first time I moved to Halifax, I was like, I don't like Halifax. I'm not going to like it. But that was mostly because I knew I wanted to leave and move. And I grew up in PEI where everyone in Halifax thinks they're better than everyone else.
Right.
And then I was like, I got no time for this. I'm just coming in.
Wait, people think they're better. Wait, people in PEI think they're better than...
No. People in PEI think that everyone in Halifax thinks they're better
Oh, gotcha.
Cities, right? Like,
we're like the Toronto... Like, we are to PEI like Toronto is to us.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, no.
Let's not get... Well, probably.
Do people not think people in Toronto are stuck up?
No, I agree with you, but I don't think we're that hate. We don't have that much hatred toward Halifax.
Okay. I don't know shit. Hey, everybody. Sarah doesn't know shit.
This is just a fake made up thing that I think.
I haven't been out of the Maritimes in a long fucking time. So I don't go or places or do things.
Fair.
So that's why I don't know things. Because I don't go places and I don't do things. My trip to Hell's... I say Hell's, I know it's the basement. It's always going to be Hell's to me.
Yeah, Shannon said you can call it whatever.
It's Hell's. In New Brunswick, and that was the first time leaving Nova Scotia since the lockdown. So that was my first time out of the province in 2 years.
Oh my God, if I don't get a change of scenery with a certain amount of time, I panic.
I have realized that I'm actually more of a homebody person than I ever thought I was.
I've had to train myself to be that way a bit for my own well-being, because that's not my vibe, but I know it's important for people to have roots and settle and chill and be at their houses and sleep in their own beds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's a thing I'm actually actively working on. Being
Is there
alone.
a reason why? Oh, being alone.
I'm sure there's lots of reasons why. I mean, years of distracting myself with social things. I've never been by myself, and avoidance and stuff like that. Of course, all those things added together. Also, I like being around people. Like, I enjoy it. But now I've come to terms with, like, figuring out not just to be around people, being around people I enjoy.
Yes.
Only. Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, that's how old she is. Sarah asked the other day, and I was like, I feel like I know, but I don't. I need to start a spreadsheet of ages because I forget.
What was your...
I forget where people are. I was gonna put you at like 29.
Yeah. What did you say, Sarah? Other Sarah?
I said 23.
What?
23? Whoa. Really? People always have this weird idea of my age, because when I was 23 and 26 and 27, people always would like think I looked young, but also as soon as I'd say my age, so like that makes sense. Like you seem well-rounded or mature. Like you seem like you aren't young because you aren't an idiot, but also like you don't look old.
Yeah, it's a strange thing because you have to
Yeah.
kind of combine the like your physical assumption of somebody,
Yeah.
and then like how mature they are, so to speak.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that I'm younger than 34, and I'm like, I've been through so much. I feel like I'm 40.
Yeah.
Truly, I I looked in the mirror the other day and I was just like, I think I'm 40.
Oh my god.
When I look in like in terms of like emotional age and like tiredness, like I'm ready to retire. I'm done.
I've already retired from 2 things, so I feel I'm like retired right now. So
I'm also ready to retire.
yeah.
Let's just all do it. Let's all retire, move to Florida.
Well, let's be real. Like, this society is foolish. We shouldn't be living in a world where working 40 hours a week is the norm. And why don't we just like grow stuff and trade things? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't care about money. If you will, like,
Yes, I do.
yeah, I know.
That's actually
I've never had any.
topic of discussion, which is money. I love money.
I'll get
And
away from me.
money would solve a lot of my problems. Not gonna make any grand statements here, but like if I got offered Squid Game, I may or may not do it.
That's fair. That's actually
Do you have
so
debt?
funny.
You have fun with that.
Do you have debt though?
Yeah, but I still
No.
would join.
Yeah.
Listen, Sarah, can I comment on that?
Yes, please do.
Okay, like, dark, sad people are half choosing Squid Game because they're either getting a bunch of money or getting the fuck out of it. So, like, that has nothing to do with money.
They're either getting money or death.
Yeah.
Either way, it's better than
Yeah,
this.
all or nothing.
Yeah. No, I definitely like. I would consider it. I probably wouldn't, but like debt is enough to. It certainly is enough to make you feel like you're constantly drowning and you'll never get. And that's like where I'm at, where I'm like, yeah, I feel like if I did have the chance to like potentially eliminate that, I would consider it. I truly would.
Yeah, it does make it hard. It makes everything harder to pay off. It makes everything difficult, but also, like, I don't know, money just really doesn't matter. It does.
And
if you
too
like
much of it can
things.
fuck you up.
Yeah, and I've heard of this for one of my, I think, what's wrong with me, so I won't go into
Ooh,
that too much.
I'm so
but,
excited. But actually, we're going to start with the segments, but I would like to start with the assumption segment.
yeah, please. I want that one first.
Because you said something earlier that might challenge my assumption of you.
I'm
And
complex little.
so I'm trying to dance around my words with this because I need to say it in the right way.
Yeah.
So my assumption of you. Don't punch me in the face. Ow. When I think of you and like how I've known you. What?
I'm expressive.
I just really like Brittany's face.
Ever since I've known you, you haven't really been someone where I look at and go, she's alone. There's either been a partner or like a love interest or a crush or someone, an anchor. You've always had an anchor. So my assumption was you're not used to being totally alone. But you commented on the alone thing earlier, saying that you're working on
yeah.
learning to be alone. So in a way, my assumption's kind of right. Right?
No,
Is
for
it?
sure. Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Oh.
Yeah, I know. And it's not romantically alone for most of my time, but you're right.
Yeah,
when
the romantic alone thing.
Yeah.
Do you find that you always have a crush? Or you always have like a interest?
No, okay, it's interesting. Like, Yeah, if you want to know the details, is that like, I don't know, like maybe now that I'm like queer and out and started dating and stuff like that, but like before I was never in a relationship until I never was in a relationship while I was like straight, just like banging my way around trying to figure it out.
I didn't know you then.
Yeah, you didn't know me then.
So that's interesting.
See, I started dating my ex like the day as soon as I moved to Halifax. Pretty much, we met the summer before. So then I was in this relationship for 3.5 years while I started meeting all these people. Right. And then I'm a very, at different times, I'm a very agreeable person in certain ways. And for years, I didn't want anyone to like me or look at me or want anything from me like that because I didn't think I could give that back. Right. And I'm still working on that.
Right.
But yeah, now like there's people around, but I've even like pulled back recently that yeah, I do enjoy being around people and stuff like that, but I've changed my boundaries to be like, I don't have a lot to give right now. I love that. And if you want to be around me and in my space, I can care for you and show you support and have fun with you. But I know that I've gone through patterns of being agreeable and not knowing what I actually want. And then I end up in spaces or doing things and not actually fully there. So right now I am enjoying my time around people, but at the same time, like I'm being very open and clear and being like, you know, like I need to learn how to be me and figure that out because that's a fresh thing now that if I start going into rhythms and get into like a relationship and stuff, like I don't think that's good for me.
You're giving, this is cheesy, but it's almost like you're giving love back to yourself.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time.
For the first time.
Yeah.
What is it about like this stage in your life, do you think, that has like, was it did the pandemic kind of?
I mean, the pandemic helped me slow down, but in my last relationship, she had shown me what like unconditional love and support was, and I had never felt that in that way. So having that was really lovely and learning about that, but then learning lots of other things in my life, realizing that like having that feel good was probably like a changing point in my life. You know, someone who was so steady and so like, you're what I want and I support you and I help you and I always make sure there's food in the house and stuff like that. Like
so when you can rely on. You could rely on. I could,
yeah. And that's not something I ever had in my life. I've never had someone.
Oh, I've never had that.
Yeah. So that showed me that, you know, that's an option. And then when we were, you know, ending a relationship, and I had to realize I have to learn how to be alone and figure that out because, you know, like I can't just pretend to, I don't know. Becoming myself more feels good. Starting going to therapy a bit when I was out west. Ooh. And like trying to figure out what I want and how I feel. My pleasure has never been a priority in this world until, yeah, I don't know, working on it.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's a deep thing.
Yeah.
And that's something that because I remember last summer, when Serena's episode came out, when the first episode of this relaunch came out.
Yeah, that was so good.
You and I had a good chat about this. Yeah. And like the idea of like really, it's insane how we often really forget that. Just the simple doing things that like make us feel good.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because we're either too busy like doing too much for other people, giving too much to other people, and then we often like just forget about ourselves. And,
we don't leave ourselves. I would just spend so much time around people that I didn't leave any energy for myself or potentially other people in my life.
Yeah,
and I didn't comfort. Like first time I like realized that being comfortable was important was like this summer. Like I was like wrapped around. I was like, oh my God, I'm comfortable.
I'm cozy. This is strange.
No, I wasn't yet. I just felt like what cozy felt like, and I was like, oh, this is why people like this.
So that's interesting. Do you think that you were uncomfortable before, or?
Oh, I feel like I've been uncomfortable a lot of my life. Yeah, for sure. It's the thing is I didn't want to get just like hurt and stuff in your life, but being comfortable is scary because when you're comfortable, sometimes bad things happen. When you let your guards down. So when you learn in your life that you have to be alert about things, often you don't want to be comfortable because when you're comfortable, who knows what's going to happen.
When you're waiting for the next shoe to drop. Is that the phrase?
Yeah. So what I'm teaching myself now is realizing that I've grown a life and a space and people around me that I am safe. I
Right.
am safe now. Like, I still don't feel that through my whole
Because you
body.
created it for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Because as soon as you start creating your comfort around like either a partner or another person, as soon as they fuck up and hurt you, you're screwed. You don't have anything.
I don't think that's true.
But if you
yeah, it can be.
But if you create that home space for yourself, you will be fine being alone.
Yeah.
Like there's some people that like I know that have just like truly never been alone. And I worry for those people because when their partner dies, they're not going to be equipped with the skills. This episode's not out right now, but will be out tomorrow.
It'll be out by the time people listen.
It'll be
to this one.
I keep forgetting that like this isn't live. This is going
yeah.
out next week. But Richard Allen, the guest that I had on, talked about this. Just the idea of like your capacity for being alone and how we're all building that.
Yeah. You got to train yourself and be comfortable in your own body and
Got to create the home for yourself, which is
Yeah.
so cheesy.
yeah.
But it's true. I mean, if you can feel at home with if you can be like I'm not there yet. I'm definitely like getting there. I think in terms of like what you said about like,
I'm not anywhere yet either. These are the
Comfort.
first steps.
yeah,
It's like, oh, I learned how to be comfortable 2 months ago. Must have it all figured out by now. Yeah. Working on it.
what's your ideal like self-care night? If you're having a Brittany night, no one has asked you for plans.
I don't understand this question. When is this
doesn't
happening? When is this
It doesn't
happening?
exist.
Is someone calling me to let me know? You gonna lock me inside my house? I don't know.
Are you the type of person who like if you looked at your schedule and you realized that you had no plans, would you go, oh thank God, or would you go, this doesn't feel right?
I would say, oh, thank God, if I had just spent 3 weeks constantly around people and no time to myself, I'd probably say that. But now I'm trying to get better and add that in. I literally have to like add in time because I'm a roamer.
Preemptively.
It's not necessarily a scheduler because I may hate making plans, but I do know that I will. My friends know that I will reach out and say like I have this thing where I say I'm gonna reach out to you all the time, but if you can't, just say no. Like I'm not asking you because I need anything. It's just this is my way of being around. Is being like, hey, what are you up to right now? And if they're like, oh, I'm doing things, I'm like, hey, cool.
Yeah,
But
at least you put yourself on the radar.
Yeah, and I've had to talk with friends about that because no one's as comfortable with that as we expect because we phones now where we can text people anytime and they feel obligated to do things. But no, that's not my space. So like I've always been a roamer and like reach out to people throughout the day. So like often I could go in and I have no plans in the morning and I get up and then I'm around people all day, do a show or whatever at night. And
Yeah.
whatever.
I feel like I have good bail dar. I can usually tell when someone's about to bail on me.
I do like it a little bit when people bail sometimes though. That's when I sometimes get my time.
I
to
do
myself.
too, unless I'm relying on them.
Yeah.
If I'm legit,
Yeah, if you're emotionally involved in what's going to happen, that does suck.
yeah.
But I do have a little bit of a tinge like in my like body sometimes when people like are close. I can tell they're like a little on the fence. I will make that move and be like, "Hey man, you're not going to disappoint me if you're tired."
Yeah, you like kind of give someone an out in a way.
Yeah,
like
it
you're
gives us
like,
really
it's
a
okay
little-
if you want to bail. Like I always do that. I'm like just so you know, it's totally okay. Just tell me. It's
But are
almost
you
like
honestly cool with them that when you say it?
yeah.
Cool,
At this
cool,
point,
cool.
at this point,
Yeah.
I am because I'm so hyper independent that like
Yeah.
I don't rely on anyone anyway.
Yeah.
So like even if you think I rely on you, I'm already in my head. I have a plan B on how I'm gonna do the thing myself.
Yeah.
To get it done because I'm just so hyper independent, which is kind of a weird flaw
Yeah.
because I don't know at this point if I could ever be in a relationship because of this.
Yeah, you'd have to definitely address that and ease it in. But also along with your assumption with that, when you say
the
that
alone
I've
thing.
been like not alone, I always have people around me. But also, I don't know, like people like to be around me and I'm okay with that. And I've
Yeah.
had to like learn lately how to like have boundaries with that. But I'm also, as much as yeah, I do have people around me, I have never almost let myself rely on those people. Like with my last relationship, I was starting to get good at, but like, even when someone wants to do something for me, I like don't want to inconvenience anyone around me or like stuff like that. So I don't know, Sarah. It's not my fault people have crushes on me. What am I supposed to do
Well,
about it?
actually, I was thinking the other way around. I was thinking you might be someone who crushes a lot.
No,
on
I
people.
can count every crush I've ever had.
But yeah.
on my one hand, and only like 1 or 2 of them ever lasted for more than. I never had crushes at all until like Oh yeah, big
Recently,
time. Not
right?
a big crush person.
But now you're living it up. You're having fun.
Whatever.
Is that what like mid-30s people say? You're living it up.
I'm still like, it's funny that you think of it this way too, is because like when I first like started comedy, I thought I was straight, blah blah blah. And then in order to like make sense to the audience, is obviously like I was figuring myself out. So obviously the logical term for clarity and boldness on a stage is to be a lesbian.
Right.
And maybe that's how I identify. I don't know. How would I know? It's kind of was what happened and got thrown upon me. But also, people then assume that I'm a hypersexual person because I'm a lesbian. So who knows if I'm going on, you might see me flirting with someone or talking to someone or on a date with someone. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like sleeping with them right away. Like,
interesting.
I'm not necessarily just like a crushing, trying to do all this stuff. I'm just like being myself. And if someone makes me feel good when I'm around them and I make them feel good, why not explore that a little bit and learn a few lessons, right?
Right. But that's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Because I find people think the same thing about me.
Yeah.
They think I'm always fucking. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I fuck less than anyone I know.
Yeah.
Most people I know.
Yeah.
Most people, I will say, I need to correct myself there. Now that Vaughn's dead,
Yeah.
anytime I used to say that around Vaughn, it was, I've been fucked since 2015.
Yeah.
And he was always the person in the room who was less sexually active than me.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm pretty much up there because I feel like I'm essentially celibate at this point. Like, I
Like,
truly...
that's so many labels and shit, Sarah. Deal with yourself and all of a sudden you start flowing and then...
But I mean, it's only been once in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know.
It's and then it's like...
It weighs on you, right?
It's not only like sexual stuff. It's like just general touch.
Oof.
Like, I don't get that from anyone.
Yeah. I used to hate that. Someone
It's-
like, rubbed
it's-
my arm and I'd be like, what are you doing? Get the hell out of here.
It's a weird psychological thing.
It
Like,
is.
Skin
You need
hunger
touch
is
and-
actually a deprivation or whatever.
yeah,
like
for sure.
like, and it's not even necessarily sexual, but it's just like the comfort feeling, I guess, of like human to human touch.
Yeah, I had this like friend the other day, or not really a friend, but a guy I spent some time around sometimes. And anyway, I just looked at him and was like, man, you need a hug? And he's like, yeah, for sure. So I like hugged him and then he goes, thanks. And he goes to pull away. I was like, well, I'm going to hug you till you stop shaking. And then I just like
Aw.
held him and then he's like, okay, thanks. I was like, not yet. Like, wait till your body settles and then we can move past
Like,
this.
till you get that sigh of relief.
Well, it's not really, the whole hug's not helpful if I'm just giving that as a thing. Like, I gave this to you. But if I'm able to like hold him and wait till his body settles and I feel that his body release and feel that
Right.
relief, then I can be like, all right, let's move on.
Yeah. It's fucking...
Yeah.
It makes me scared, honestly, because I go, will I ever experience that? Ever? Like, I know that that's unbelievably sad to say,
Mhm.
but it does make me go, maybe it's just not meant for me. Like, maybe I'm just not supposed to be with another person and, like, have that intimacy. So gotta be happy on my own.
Yeah.
Get some bath salts and candles.
Yeah.
And just, like, zoom in on my face. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah. I think it'll sway back though, like, because those things, they can't be predicted. Like, people gravitate toward me now, but it's because of how I'm putting myself out there and presenting myself. And,
confidence.
yeah, all that, whatever. But like,
And there it goes, folks.
yeah, but like, at the same time, like, I don't know. I've had lots of times in other relationships where there has been like chunks of long distance, like months at a time too, and you don't get that physical touch and things like that. But once it feels cozier for people, you can get that from like friends and stuff. But it takes that's a whole new thing to be able
would
to
be
get
weird
that
for
from
me.
friends. Of course, it would be weird for me a lot until maybe recently. But
Well, I guess it's
certain
how you
friends.
think of what intimacy is. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people think intimacy is physical touch.
mm-hmm.
I think it's more consistency and closeness,
Mm,
like close conversations or like
yeah,
checking in on someone every day.
Yeah.
That's intimate to me, which is interesting. If we get into astrology shit, your Venus sign, I think, is like, I think it has to do with romance or like how you are in romantic partnerships. Mine's Aquarius,
okay.
and so my Venus
You
is
don't like being told what to do.
it's like it says that like you do things in a very unconventional way. And I was like, that makes total sense to me because like I
Yeah.
could totally fall in love with someone just from a conversation
Yeah.
versus like physically seeing them.
Yeah. Intimacy, in my opinion, is like when you go deeper than surface level and you are showing like care towards that person, not necessarily like sexual, but it can be too. Like,
Oh yeah, it can be. I mean, you can't get much closer to someone when you're inside them.
Yeah, as long as your brains are actively aware, because if not, then are you really that close? I banged a lot of dudes that I wasn't that close with.
True that.
Yeah.
Me too. But yeah, that's my assumption. I don't know. I just kind of thought, I feel like you're someone who has a lot of friends. You have a lot of, like, you have a good amount of closeness in your life
Maybe
with
too
other
much.
people.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, now.
Oh, that's good.
I even like always said I was like fun at parties and stuff like that and had lots of friends and groups of friends. But even when I went back home to PEI recently for a show, I had invited a bunch of my friends who hadn't seen me in a few years since I left. And then coming back, I even said on stage, I was like, listen, yeah, Brittany's got friends and stuff, but like up until like these last couple of years when I learned to open up, none of my friends knew anything about me. So I was not close with them. It's fun at parties, but I was like, listen, tell me something about me. Other than the amount of siblings I have, and then my dad doesn't love me. Like, tell me something else. He does love me now, but whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, I was so closed off and not. So you've seen me when I started my journey of opening up.
That's so true.
It
like,
would have been interesting if you saw me a few years ago.
I don't know the old you.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or bad thing?
I don't know. I think I don't even know her either anymore, which is a good way.
Isn't that wild when you think of like your past selves, like even just from like 5 years ago or however long ago? It's like when I think of like high school, college era, I'm just like, who is that? What the fuck? I was a child. What happened? Oh, age happened.
Learning. All we were supposed to do is gather information through our lives. But yeah, I'm trying now. Like as soon as I turned 32, I was just like, you know what? Let's stop doing what Brittany used to be. Let's Brittany be Brittany 32 onward, because the change and the difference within 5 years or 7 years or 3 years even is so abrupt. I can't keep comparing myself to that. I got to start fresh because that's so taxing on me when someone says something about me, like how they presume I am or how they see me. I want to look at them and be like, do you not know how much I've struggled? I didn't just show up here and be able to have friends and to be able to be close with people. Like I didn't just have this within me. I've created this my whole life and struggled to learn how to do that.
Right.
So like now when people meet me, they're like, oh, Brittany's fun and happy and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, sometimes you grow empathy through struggle and pain and challenge. And I am an empathetic person because of what I've been through. And it's bittersweet,
it's
but
very
it's good.
Earned
Yeah.
happiness.
I've been working a lot my whole life and in positions, and I've had a whole life before I started comedy, and I'm happy with that. And that's, but just need to update my resume, you know?
Update that resume. Oof, a life resume would be crazy. Like if you had to make a resume of your life and put like headings and like things that have impacted your life. Like, do you ever think of your life in terms of like chapters or
I like
eras? Eras even?
I don't know if I look back at it fully, but sometimes I have like a space that I'm in or someone that affected me, and I think I like to wrap it up in order, because like sometimes we get scared of endings and things ending, but then instead of you being like, oh, this is over, that sucks, it's like, wow, wasn't this a lovely chapter in my life that added so much to my existence?
Yes. And sometimes
negatively too, but
and sometimes you go, I learned so much, but I'm reaping no benefits. And that's always fun.
Yeah, sometimes you don't get the reward right away. You get the lessons.
Sometimes you don't get the reward right away.
Yeah.
And you just gotta keep waiting.
Yeah.
And spend more time alone. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm so resentful. It's just like every time I have a psychic reading, it's like, you still have more work to do. I'm just like, how much more work can I do on myself? I've done so much.
Well, don't put so much pressure on it. We're just gathering information. And then you have to think of it as gathering, not like, oh, I did this. What do I get from that? There's no payoff. There is a payoff, but there's no like, you can't put it into words. And that's come into your body, and you had to learn each lesson. And before, you don't just learn a lesson, you have to incorporate it and let it become part of yourself. So you can't learn anything too quickly. You learn it all and be like, I know this. It's like, no, you don't know shit.
No, you don't
learn
know
each
shit.
lesson slowly so that you incorporate it and live it fully. Otherwise, you just think you know stuff.
God damn, it's true.
Such a cunt.
No, you're not.
No.
What would be a good... let's do the rant segment. Let's do that one next.
All right.
We're in. So I think people bond over what we hate about things or what we're frustrated by. So, Brittany, do you have a rant for me? I need to rant.
Yeah, of course. How many do you want?
Pop off, queen. I'm just going to put it on you, and you have the floor.
Yeah. This is a rant?
This is a rant.
All right, what's pissing me off these days? Everyone needs to shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ, I'm tired and people need to stop talking. I mean, talk a bit, but like, listen, it's not about not talking. It's just like, this pandemic made us all slow down, and then we get back around people and we're a little uncomfortable and we don't know how to act and how to be, but that's fine. It's just like, sit back and take things in when you're in a space and like take it in, because a boss taught me this years ago. As I was working with like 111 youths we brought to brought to Ottawa from PEI, and a dozen adults, and I've been telling youths what to do for years. It didn't bother me with them, but then adults like trying to figure stuff out and they think they know stuff, and I just had experience and I was younger, but I'm a woman, so no one really wanted to listen to me. But the way you get them to listen is, I had a boss teach me this. He's like, Bernie, you know the answer. Just sit back, wait for everyone in the room to exhaust themselves with their suggestions. Let them turn each other down. And at the end, once you've listened to all their problems, just be like, hey, you want this solution? And then they're tired. They've already said no, because people love saying no. They love being like, nah, I don't think that'll work. Mm-hmm. So you wait it out a little bit. Look around, be observant of what's going on.
Like a sponge.
Yeah, but like, just like be around. And people don't want the answer solutions right away sometimes, because they're just ready to find it. It's like, they think it's hard, so they don't want you to just have the solution right away. Like,
Right.
But it's hard, and you're like, it's not really hard if you have the experience. And it's not even about shutting up too. It's like, the thing is that everyone, if you think about comedy more intellectually and less emotionally, that takes time. You actually get better more quickly because you process information differently when you're not emotional. Emotions change the way you process information. So you're not even actually aware of how your set went if you have too many emotions going on. You're either going to think it was great or you're going to think it was terrible. And that's not logical and that's not factual if your brain's all fucking wild. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, just like take it all in, and everyone's opinions. People got lots of opinions, but I don't know, not everyone's opinion's valuable. It's a weird thing to say, but like hold it in until you've figured it out, right? Wait it out, observe. Don't just be like, this is how it is. It's like, don't talk to me about facts unless it's a fact. Unless you wanted to actually talk, and I'll love having conversations with people, but don't say it at me as if it's a fact. That bothers me.
Ooh.
So like, this is this, and you're like...
Sarah and I have talked about this, the idea of like talking at someone versus with them.
Yeah.
Like right now we have a back and forth. Like there's a natural, I say something, you say something. But like there's some people who just say things at you, and there's no listening on their end. Yeah. There's no back and forth. There's no pausing. Yeah. And it's like an invasion of space.
Yeah. And people are allowed to be however they want to be. It just, I don't have to allow that into my space.
Do you think that like...
makes my bipolar flare up. I'm not even being mean. It just makes me friggin' hyper and anxious. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, honestly, like...
that would suck.
It's not,
Do you think it's kind of like BO? Like, do people know that they're being annoying?
Sometimes.
Do you think people are self-aware?
Sometimes they can't help it, and that's okay. But also you have to accept... And most people... There's a lot of people out there who know that that's the way they are, and they're okay when I say I don't want that, or I don't want to be that way. Because this is the thing now, is I'm saying this all now, but before I was so agreeable in my space, and I never knew how to, like, have boundaries of control, that I just allowed people to have from me what they wanted my whole life. So now I'm like annoyed by it, but before I'd probably be like, whatever.
Were you someone that like, are you someone who people confide in?
Yeah, big time.
Like you're a sounding board?
People, but also people know, people are pretty aware of when I want them to do that, when I don't.
Because that's good.
I've been influencing people in my jobs and spaces I've held for lots of times, and I feel like kind of the recurring information I get is that I'm intimidating, but everyone feels that they're safe around me and that I respect them. It's just they aren't always going to get from me
interesting.
what they can get from other people, because
Well, you're honest.
I see. Yeah,
You're
I feel
very,
like,
a very honest person.
yeah.
Like,
Like a genuine person. I see so many people. I can't give everything to everyone. There's never been anything left for myself. So now I've got to make sure there is.
and I think so often that we will give people things just out of obligation alone, and it's a shit. Like, do you ever
And
have
sometimes it's fine, but sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it's not, and like, we're allowed to not to have opinions that aren't savory.
Yeah, when people shut everyone down, it's like, listen, you don't have to agree with the opinions, but also take everything in, mix it up in your head, and make your own opinion. Gather information, like...
Gather information.
Yeah.
So people, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, man. I'm just tired. I see so many people. It's so funny. Like, another part to this rant about this is like... Actually, I'll do that in my unpopular opinion, maybe.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But I do think, and you and I talked about this at Freeman's, just the idea of like asking someone if they have time to listen to you
Yeah.
goes a long way.
One of my...
Can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah.
Versus, oh my God, this thing happened today.
Yeah,
da, da, da.
Oh, big time.
Emotional dumping.
Yeah. Especially when it's like, I just finished my set. I'm standing outside to gather myself before I go back in to be around another 100 people. Like,
Yeah.
give me a second. I have a pal who calls it Capacibility.
Capacibility.
You have, are you capable of doing this? And like, do you have the ability to do it? Like,
Are you
do you
capable?
have the capacity for it? Do you have the ability to do it? Like, because sometimes you're able to do it, but you don't necessarily have the capacity to do it. Sometimes you have the capacity to do it, but you're not able to do it. So I like it. It's cute.
Capacibility.
Yeah.
I really, really like that, because emotional dumping it's the fucking worst, and it really, truly will drive people away from you eventually,
Yeah.
because they will get resentful at you
And tired.
and tired,
Listen.
and then they'll be like, I don't think I've told you one goddamn thing about me, but you've.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, the darker of a comic I get, the more I share about certain things, and the more I think, if you're actually listening to my words, the less you want me, like, would want from me. But, like, often after shows and these spaces, and it's my confidence, my vest or whatever, but, like, a lot of people lately, like, I kind of found out this summer I was a babe, and then other people found out I was a babe, and now people are just like, this isn't, I don't know. All the guys who listen to this will be like, I wish that was a problem I had. But a lot of people will just come up to me after sometimes and be like, essentially like, will you fuck me? And I'm just like, listen.
Can't relate.
No, but this is the thing, Sarah, is they aren't attracted to me. They don't want that intimacy. They look at me and see that I'm strong and want me to do a task for them.
They see you as a tool.
Yeah. Not everybody.
A tool for themselves.
Yeah,
Versus
like, you could do this thing for me.
Versus you're someone I'm attracted to that I want to please.
Yeah, I don't even need them to want even all of that, but like, I need some sort of, I'm not out here. Didn't you get enough from me? 45 minutes on the stage? I opened up my whole heart from you, and now you're just like, give me more.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's so
And
interesting.
I love being social with crowds after shows, and I love the connection and all these things, but it is funny, like like, weren't you listening to how sad I am? Like,
That's like so ballsy
yeah.
to do that. I don't think that I've even like when I used to watch a lot of comedy, I don't think I'd ever have the balls to just like go up to someone and hit on them right after.
People think that that's who I am. Or
You
what I
stalk
am.
them for a while and then you slide into the DMs. That's the longer game.
I don't care if you came up to me and flirted with me after and had like some chill about it. Who knows? But like, don't just be like, do this for me.
So that happened. Has that happened a lot, or just like?
Well, it started happening more recently. It didn't happen before.
It's just something you're.
Before, I was never aware of any of this. I was in a relationship. I didn't think I was a babe. I had no wandering eye. Like, I didn't have any.
Right.
Everyone I talked about being in a relationship, I was very clear that I'm not.
Right.
I know nothing about me wanted to.
The floodgates are open now, so to speak.
I guess, yeah. I
Yeah.
guess, but it's also, I'm a better comic than I was before. When you're on these stages and these spaces, I just didn't realize, like, I've had people who are like much better, more experienced comics to me, and I kind of brought this up. I was like, oh my God, what's this? And they're like, oh yeah, that happens eventually, because people like you're confident, you're on the stage, they like want to be around you and stuff.
Ooh.
Just like,
Mama
I don't want to use
once.
the word like, what?
Mama once.
Yeah.
I could really go for that right now.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's interesting. Wow, Brittany. Whew.
Yeah. Tired. Fix yourselves.
What do you think people do want from like? So like when you say things like, "What do you want from me?" or like, "What more do you want me to give to you?" What do you think it is that they want?
They just enjoy their time where I entertained them, and we had that thing together. And I like to think that when I talk to a crowd, it's not a one-sided thing. We're doing it together. I'm changing jokes or inflections depending on how they're reacting, and they felt good. And they want to feel good still. And that's okay. I just take myself out of it because it's not me that they want. They liked the room and experience that I gave them, and they wanted to keep going because they felt good. Yeah.
I actually, something just clicked in my head because one of the things that infuriates me on online dating apps is when guys will go, because they'll see that I do comedy.
Yeah.
Tell me a joke, or let's see how funny you are. Like they'll challenge me in like an online dating talk, and I'm just like, I'm not working right now.
Yeah.
Still new comic, mind you, but I do consider comedy work.
Yeah, listen though, Sarah, when people say things like this on online dating, you gotta remember too, you don't have to answer them directly the same way. You could be like jokey and be like, oh yeah, listen, and then say those things, and maybe that they find that more charming. Because people ask stupid questions. People think they ask what they want you to hear, and you just gotta look around enough and see if that person's worthy of even talking to anymore, and if not, just whatever.
Yeah, because I actually do think like some of the funniest people on stage, I would put you in this category too, when I think of like the people that I really enjoy watching on stage and who are really good comedians, have this great ability to be super serious and deep when they're not on stage.
Yeah.
So I think that contrast is almost maybe not necessary, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's how you get to pull them further.
Like people who are just like always joking.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I'm like with you with the, I'm just like, I'm tired. I don't want to have to keep up constantly with bits.
Yeah.
I like when comedy, and that's why I love like conversations like this, where it's like serious shit, and then jokes might come out of it, or jokes might slide in and out of these like darker topics.
Yeah.
I like when comedy happens naturally like that versus like constantly trying.
Yeah.
Trying to be on, trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And I am around those people where I'm like, I have to be funny now. I have to be funny. I have to be funny.
Well, you're around a lot of people too that started around the same time and now a few years in, and they're like buddies and stuff like that. And that's all good too, because you got to be that, like, you got to keep your mind on comedy, sure, like throughout all the time. But like, I don't know, the longer you do it and the more shit you got going on in your life, like, I still keep comedy pretty active in my brain, like when I'm thinking about things and writing jokes. But
very
like,
true.
I don't know, I find it more fun to just like an excitable new comic comes up to me, excited to tell me something. It's really more fun for me to just look at them and be like, cool.
Good job.
Because if I don't do that, like I've told some people this before, like no one needs to know that I'm kind and nice and do things for people. Like because if not, I give off and people try to find things to grab onto, and then they want to be around me. And I want to be around people too, but I'm around so many people every day. I can only add like yes, we do shows, but like let's be real. Like if people know about my life, like I socialize all afternoon too. Like, and I see people, and then I take a couple hours to myself, and then I go to a show, and then
you need to be constantly shifting energies.
And I like that. I like the variables and stuff like that. But yeah, man. Excitable people. I've been used to people coming out to me excitable for years, me being like, yeah, it's not really my job to make you feel good about yourself.
It's like a little puppy.
It's like a helpful bully.
It's like a little excitable puppy going up to like an older dog that's just tired.
Yeah.
And the puppy's like, nip, 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 nip.
Yeah.
Nip, 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 nip.
I don't even know if I'm just tired, but that too, but also like a little bit of a helpful bully and a teacher at heart too. So like, that's not what those people need from me. Those people need that from their buddy, the same peer or whatever, like their buddy. They can get that from them, but they don't need that from me, because they're going to learn more from me if I tell them, like, don't even say it, but like, not be agreeable with them. Like, whatever, you ain't shit.
Tough love.
Yeah.
You can give tough love really well.
Yeah, because
That's
I respect people and I'm kind-hearted and genuine about it, but also like, because
some people don't have the right balance of that.
Yeah,
the toughness and the love. I think some people, when they give advice to friends or like are being honest with friends, it's like too much love and not enough tough, and then some other people are way too tough.
Yeah,
and not enough love kind of thing.
And it takes a lot of life experience to get that.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of life experience to be tough and gentle at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, next segment.
All right.
Let's get into what's wrong with you. What's wrong with you?
Forgot about that one.
So this will be when you think of yourself. We all have so much wrong with us. So we
Speak for yourself.
We could I will. We could talk for a long time about, but like, is there something currently that like you're tackling, working on?
Yeah. So this one that came to my mind right away, and it almost came out of my mouth earlier, but I wanted to leave it for this, is that what's wrong with me is welcome
to the TED Talk.
If you want to hear where it came from, come see one of my sets, but I'll tell you where I'm at now is I this summer learned how to want things. I spent a lot of my life training myself and learning to not need for anything because there was some scarcity in certain areas of my life growing up. So if I could not need anything and just be cool with whatever happens to me, I can't be hurt.
Yeah.
Because I'm whatever, like I don't really need food that much, or I don't really need anything. I need to buy anything. I can get through with whatever I have.
You're resilient.
Yeah. But then especially since starting to do comedy, I even wanted for even less because I know if I want to do this, I can't have things. And then I learned to not care about things because I've never had things. So things aren't important to me. Money's not important to me because I never had it. And I don't get excitement. Like, people will be like, oh my God, a snowmobile. I'm like, who cares? Like, yeah, I would rather be able to like move around, and I get my joy from experiences and interactions and small little things. So this summer I had had a nice dating relationship thing with a human who was moving away anyway. So it was just nice that we both kind of ran into each other at a time where we both kind of we're both different, but whatever. But like, we both learned so much from each other. Yeah. But she had taught me how to want things. And she'd be like, well, what do you want? And I was like, it doesn't matter. She's like, no, like, you're allowed to want for things. But in return, the most amazing lesson from that was learning how to not want things. Once you want things, you learn what you don't want. Which is so wild. Because I would always just be like, there's been lots of people and things and experiences in my life that people would just get. I would just give them what they wanted, or they would take it either way. So like, I trained myself to not be able to be hurt by not ever needing or wanting or feeling. But then now I'm like, no, I don't want that. Now it feels so good. Yeah. To be like, yeah, and I'm focusing more now. Like, I still don't want for too much, but not wanting is so good. Like, I've never thought I would like learn this.
What are some things some things that you don't want that you think other people might constantly want? Are there certain things that you think of when you say like that you don't want things? Is it like extravagance or like unnecessary
a lot of things right now that I'm not wanting is experiences with people that I feel uncomfortable in. There's lots of people in my life who too, like me being agreeable and just being like making sure everyone else is good. Like, there's been people who've wanted to have like time with me or sexual experiences with me or things like that, and I'm like, all right, sure, if you want that, I'll do that for you. But that's not what I want usually in the moment, or I haven't taken the time to sit back and be like, do I even want this? It's just like, okay, yeah, I'll don't want to inconvenience anyone, but I don't. Yeah, people
pleasing.
Yeah, big, huge. That's what I'm working on the most.
There's so many people pleasers out there. I think this is like the real pandemic.
Is the real pandemic.
All these people pleasers, but all these people doing things for other people before doing them for the. Just like, God damn it.
Yeah, that's a thing to be worked on for sure.
Holy fuck. It's so freeing as soon as you start going, no, and I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not sorry.
No, and I've accepted this is a no, a solid no, and I'm good with that. Yeah.
Like, I often think of it when you're like, say someone asks you to do something, and a lot of times I used to respond with like, I can't, I'm so sorry, like I have this other thing, I'm like, I would give so many reasons as to why I was saying no, but like to stand in, no, I can't make it.
Yeah. And chances are
leave it at that.
Yeah.
Oof. It's powerful.
It is powerful. And chances are the other person who asked you doesn't need all those explanations are for yourself to feel good about it, to feel fine with it. Because the other person really just wants a yes or no most of the time. And then after you send that, they're like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I understand. Like, some people are greedy and want all that from you. But
it's really like on the other end of things, you really just have to go, like Sarah and I have talked about this, like just going, their priorities are different right now.
Yeah.
What they're choosing to do with their like Saturday night, I'm not it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And
Move
that
on,
doesn't
like,
mean forever either.
Exactly. It's just for tonight.
Yeah.
And they have different priorities, and my priority is this, and I want that respected by others.
Yeah.
So I should respect theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like, we gotta stop taking things so personal.
Yeah.
I know it's easier fucking said than done.
Yeah.
But like,
deal with facts more than emotions, right?
I used to be the worst. I used to constantly like, I would berate people if they didn't do things with me. Like, I would call them lame, be like, you lame. Like, I would pick on them kind of.
You're hurting because you felt like you weren't involved or
exactly. And now I go, when someone says no to me, I go, I'm jealous of you.
Yeah.
I'm jealous that you can do that.
Yeah.
Like, now I look up to it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, you're valuing your time, you're putting yourself for, and that's what I want for myself.
Well, if you look up to it, chances are that's the next thing. Because at first it was you being defensive about it, and then now you admire it, now you look up to it. So next is going to be you doing that.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully. What are your thoughts on, I know we've talked about this off mic, but like hustle culture and this pressure to like constantly go. Like,
that's my unpopular opinion.
Is it? Should we get into it right now? Well, let's fucking, you know what? It's going to happen naturally. So let's do it. Let's get into the unpopular opinion segment. Don't hate me for this, but it's time for an unpopular opinion. Brittany, what is your unpopular opinion?
Yeah, so you were saying about hustle culture and stuff like that. That's the thing, is there's no black and white to comedy. And we were saying earlier that like you thinking about things logically and intellectually and academically as opposed to emotionally already, like that itself is something we forget about. We say hustle culture, go out every night, but like I mean, I'm a hypocrite because I have been that person who's out all the time. And some of it's because I like being around people. Most of it's just like, I just want to do as much comedy as I can. Mm-hmm. But we can't be like, I'm better because I'm out every night. Because the only evidence is what the crowd does, how they feel and how they react. Because some people are the way they write. They're good at like coming out, and when they're excited about it, they write a certain amount and they do well. Other people go out every night and they work hard and do it, but certain people go out every night and they haven't put any work into it. They just spew, which is also fine because you can learn from that because you do slowly gain stage presence. You learn by doing, but everyone's brain's different. So like, yes, if you were working on things, going out more stage time's always going to make you better. Yes, as long as you're putting in the effort in the other areas, but you can't take anyone's progress. Like, you can't force anyone else's progress because you have to add comedy into your life where it adds. You don't want to just like, I've been at times like I've said no to 2 shows in 7 years. Like, let's be real. Like, I'm not a person who says no, but at the same time I did say no once because I was like, listen, I got a lot of new jokes that I've been working on piecing out, but I need to fucking sit down. I haven't been alone for more than 2 hours in like 3 weeks. And then I was like, I need to sit down and like write this out so that I'm not just spewing and embarrassing myself. And then I did. I wrote it out. And then 3 days later, I did 3 shows on a Sunday and worked it out. And by the end of the Sunday, it was like better than it would have been. So like, yeah, the hustle culture, of course, obviously that's how it works. The more you're out, people see you, you get more stuff. So like in one side, it's like, if you're not hustling all the time, you also can't complain that you're not getting things, because people aren't necessarily asking another person because they're better than you. They might be asking another person because they're right in front of their face.
They know you're on their radar.
You're on their radar, or like you're just buddies and you're next to them right then, and you see them out and you're booking a show. Like at West, like all the time, people were booking shows at shows.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, are you free
who's
this day?
Around? Yeah, who's in my vicinity that I can ask?
Yeah, but like we all just need to like pay attention to our own shit and like do it in our own way.
Get that bell. We haven't been ringing the fucking bell. Can you please ring that?
Yeah.
Because
pay attention to your own shit. Like, listen, like you can't say that you doing it one way makes you a better comic when the results aren't, like, results are what matter.
Results are what matter.
And some people's brains have, when they are busy with school and work, and not every person's a 22-year-old dirtbag who can roam around every night. I mean, I'm a 32-year-old dirtbag, but like not everyone's that way, but you can only say that your way's working better for you. Obviously, there's facts.
Yeah.
There's knowledge that the more you do something, the better you get it. Muscle memory, myelin, wraps around your nerve endings and insulates it so that information travels better. Like, there's scientific proof that, yes, doing things more often is better. But if you also, people need to realize that when you're telling jokes and, like, especially for comics who open up about themselves, yeah, maybe it's not that hard to process your jokey laughs, but it's a little hard to process things when you're talking about yourself, because not only do you have to tell those jokes about it, you got to go home and you got to deal with that shit, because you've learned how to say that trauma in those specific words to a crowd. But in order to heal from that and to move on and to make that joke better and to make your life better, you don't only take that joke in that one line, because it's not vulnerable anymore if you have the wording down. It is vulnerable in certain ways if it feels uncomfortable, yeah. But once I have that wording down and I say it, that's that. But when I go home in the next 3 weeks or whatever I have to do for my life, I have to dissect that thing I said on stage and branch out in all different directions to actually heal from it.
Oh boy.
You know, like
yeah.
It's
because you have a great new joke.
Yeah, I can't.
The haircut one.
Yeah, maybe don't say that one because my mom.
We won't say it.
Yeah,
but like you have a good. You have a good joke that's like very, like, I would say, like,
bearing my soul.
It's very vulnerable and darker, and I have one too, which is like, I mean, I'll say because I've said it on the podcast, but like it's like someone's listening to my podcast and finds out that I cry when I come. Yeah. That's one of the biggest traumas that I've been facing in my life. Like the idea,
I've done that before.
And it's going back to what you said about pleasure. I literally could not experience that without feeling instant sadness. Instant sadness. Like, I don't know what it's like to sit and bask in pleasure. I just don't. No. And that's fucking deep to say out loud in front of people. Mm-hmm. It's funny, and most times I either get a laugh or I get a what? People say, which is better than, I still think it's better than like silence or like, ooh.
Oh, I love a reaction. I love a groan weird thing.
Yeah, silence is the worst, but like oohs are, Travis always told me that oohs are
good. You're building tension.
Almost laughs.
Yeah.
Because it's still an involuntary response, which is what and you told me that on your first episode. You said we just want people to make a sound.
Yeah, well,
that's involuntarily.
Yeah, comedy's causing it. Laughter is an involuntary sound, and even squirmy movements. It's an involuntary sound, and it's our job to make them make that sound by surprise and tension building and change, and
even a facial expression. If you can get them reacting,
we don't know how these people laugh in their regular lives. We don't know if that guy was just in a cave for the last 70 hours, and this is the first time he's ever seen light. Like, we don't know shit about this. Maybe he's a really fucking sad guy. And he laughs 4 times. Maybe that's most he's laughed all month.
And that's why you'll hear a lot of comics say after shows,
so greedy and stop thinking the audience owes you anything. Get over yourselves.
You'll hear comics say they didn't laugh, but they were smiling. You know, like obviously, like a smiley crowd is better than like just a deadpan.
Of course, yeah.
Because those are the worst. Especially when, like you said, personal shit. When you're up there like saying punchlines that are like,
you need like a room changer in the middle of the show. Often when a show's weird, no one's laughing much, and like they're kind of uncomfortable, it's because they haven't broken that, like nothing's shocked them enough to switch their energy up. So there's a few people in the scene that if they go on certain points of the show, we call it like I call it like a room changer. Like things are going one way. Sometimes comics are newer and they see like, oh, they've made jokes about this, and everyone kind of flows with the same energy because of what they've seen. But then there's people that need to wake them up. Like Kyle Carpenter's really good for a room changer. He takes the room and fixes it a bit, you know?
He does.
And that's, again, I've been asked, like, I've been that myself, and I like it sometimes because it keeps my brain excited. And other times I'm like, can you guys do some work so I can enjoy my set? Just a mix. It's a variety.
I love that.
Just, yeah.
Can we, and we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, can we talk about the roasting stuff? Or just generally speaking, roasts and that energy and the come down from a roast battle. Because I gotta say, I've been watching all the rounds.
Yeah.
And I've never felt more
icky.
It's a strange thing.
Yeah.
Because I very much so enjoy it.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's over, my stomach drops into my vagina.
Yeah.
Because I go, oh my God, I don't know what it would be like to come down from that. Like, even just general stand-up is hard.
Yeah.
And then you're doing jokes that are meant to insult someone else.
Yeah.
And then you're taking the insults.
Yeah.
And my brain doesn't know how to process that type of thing.
Yeah. So what I would say about roasts is, like, I do like roasts and I love roasts, but also if you're ever asked to do a roast, maybe like take a look at what your life looks like at the moment. You know, I've done some roasts in time where like I wouldn't even, like, you could have hit me in the head with a baseball bat and I'd be like, cool, this is part of it, right? Like, this is the space I was in my life, and depending on who you're roasting, you're like, whatever, I'm tough, this doesn't bother me. But it really, maybe take a look around. Like, what have I been dealing with the last 6 months emotionally? Do I really want someone to make fun of me, or do I not? But also, I don't know. Like, I kind of like it because, like, that's just another chance to explore things that you forgot.
Ooh.
Kyle and I did a roast, and, like, it's mostly just that, like, you know, you make fun of someone or whatever, or the space they hold or whatever. And then me going home, it's not like, oh, I'm mad that this happened or this was said about me. It was like, oh, yeah, I've been feeling so good in myself and confident lately. I forgot those are huge things in my life that I used to say to myself so bad.
It's a big piece of humble pie.
Well, it's
in
also
a weird
good
way.
reminder to be like, oh, yeah, remember how much you hated yourself, and now look how good you're doing now. So, like, I don't know. Everything is a lesson, but also you don't have to take each lesson each time. You don't have to jump on a stage and let someone make fun of all your insecurities.
But would you say there's definitely people that should not participate? Because this is interesting. Because
that's their own choice.
Because Kyle and I, he drove me home last week, and we were talking about roasts and just because I could tell that he was feeling it after his last battle with Mitch, just because it was so rapid fire, it was intense. And we were talking about roast jokes, and he really enjoys writing roast jokes.
Yeah.
I fucking love writing roast jokes. And I was just kind of like, maybe I'll think about potentially doing a roast. And he said, don't.
Yeah.
He looked at me and just said, don't do it, Sarah.
I have a hack for you if you want to do those roast jokes but not be made fun of.
What's that?
I have a hack for you if you want to write roast jokes and not be made fun of.
Oh, tell me.
Just, like, host your own show and be a cunt to all the comics.
Host the roast battle?
No, not a roast, just a show. Any show. I used to do this all the time. When I used to host shows, I was so mean to everyone after because and they know I'm not actually being mean because we're smiling and talking about it after. But, like, that's fine. People, and you can tell them. Some people don't like it, but whatever. It's like, this is the show I run. I'm a bit of a bully. If you want to, the people kind of just knew that, and, like, don't do it if you don't want. But I love when, don't do it before they come up, but they come up, but they do their set, and then you do roast jokes after them.
You're right. That is dark
and twisty
because
show.
they cannot respond because they're done.
Yeah. And maybe don't, like, do this in other people's spaces when you're hosting if you can't pull it off.
Can I tell you my favorite
Yeah.
moment where I witnessed that?
Yeah.
And this is just what happened. This is not me saying my opinion on anything, okay?
Yeah.
This is just fact of what happened. Fucking Oasis Comedy Tuesday. Dave brought Patrick Kidston up to He's a great what was it? He's a great comic. I don't like him as a person though. And like people kind of groaned and laughed. And then Pat went up and he just said, I don't like you as a host. And then went into his jokes.
I love that.
I fucking died.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite moments that I've ever, like, I don't know. I actually have quips for certain people that I'm like, I wish I could have the balls to just do it and say
That's
it.
what's fun about comedy, because if we don't pick on each other a little bit, then the audience doesn't realize that we aren't serious.
Here's what I'll say. Pick on other comics. Do not berate the crowd.
Yeah.
That's
you can
kind of
pull it
my
off.
thing.
Unless you can pull it off. If not, you're making them feel uncomfortable.
You
then
could
you're
probably
ruining it.
pull that off because I think you could do it in a way
I
that
told
would
the other
be
night.
playful,
Yeah, that's the thing.
not mean.
Yeah, the other night I told them they were homophobic, but some of them were smiling, and then the rest of them were going to get hit by traffic at the end of the night, so I'm not really worried about it.
But you say things with a little
Yeah, I do say, like, I'm going to
smirk.
slit people's throats and murder them and stuff, but it's a joke.
You'll say it with a smirk and a
Yeah.
kind of wink in your eye.
Yeah.
That makes you go, she's not serious. But there are some people's energies that are
Yeah, off-putting.
a little too mean
Yeah.
to the audience, and I don't
It's not enjoyable.
like that.
Yeah, they got to figure that out, but also you're right. It does ruin the space a little bit for some people.
It does, and that just makes people uncomfortable to like laugh and be loose and have fun. At a
Well,
comedy
yeah, why
show.
would you verbally laugh if every time you make a move, someone gets mad at you?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Nikki Glazer on her podcast said that like she has a daily podcast. She talks about the shows she does, and she said, if anyone's listening that's coming to my show, just know you're allowed to get up and go to the bathroom, and I'm not gonna point you out and say this guy's taking a shit.
Yeah.
I remember that happened to Brad McDonald once.
Insecurities and egos and stuff too, like when people like,
Yeah.
you know, you're not getting what from you want, so you get a little hissy fit. Like, get over yourselves.
It happened to Brad once, actually. He called the guy out for going to the bathroom, and Brad's like the biggest sweetheart.
Yeah.
And after the show, I saw him going into the crowd with a drink. And I asked him when he came back, I was like, did you just go buy that guy a drink? And he's like, yeah, I felt really bad. I was like, what a
Yeah, he's gentle.
right? He's a sweet man.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect example of like, oh yeah, I picked a bit too hard and I shouldn't have.
That's awareness,
So-
and that's, yeah. I'm all about, there's no all or nothings, because, like, if you don't practice that, then you're what? Like, once you become a headliner after, like, a dozen years or whatever, and you don't know how to be like that with the crowd.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do have to, whatever, it's open mic, we're burning shit, but, like, also, you know, have some tact. And that's why I think it's important to, like, after your sets, like, as much as we go with the hustle thing, is, like, if you're just doing it but not actually taking the time to process it, yeah, you're doing lots of shows, but, like, where's your progress coming in? If you're just, like, doing your set and right after you're just talking to your friends and going home, going to work, and then doing it again, like,
Yeah.
so, like, yeah.
You gotta have that sort of post-mortem. Like,
Yeah, not every time. Like, if you're doing
not every time.
sometimes I'd be doing like fucking 9 shows a week, and then I'm like, oh, like, yeah, process as a whole, but I can't do that all the time. Like, I can't like process every single day, but
Right.
sometimes I can.
What would you say is like the most high pressure situation you've ever had in comedy in terms of like a show? Like, have you ever had a show where it was like a lot riding on it, where you,
Yeah.
where it felt like this is the big deal?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I try to treat everyone individually. Like, everyone's kind of,
I guess if you
each
didn't,
crowd's important, right? Like, I'm with those people. Yeah, I've had things. I've had like showcases for things. Like, geez, I was like a year and a half in. Probably too early to be doing a just for laugh showcase.
Holy
but
shit,
I bookended my. I didn't know at the time, but I bookended my set with like abortion jokes, and then 2 years later, I was like, oh, that's for sure not what they were looking for. Not that I would have gotten that at the time anyway, but I've had.
that's
things.
wild. 2 years.
Well, they were coming to the East Coast, and somebody had passed my name along, and they had watched a video and then contacted me, and like, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So there's been things like I know my like little reset fest I did in Edmonton. I was running this one woman show that I had an opener for like 10 minutes. I was doing like 45, 50 minutes. And I did like 5 shows in a week and a half, and I had to like promote and stuff too.
Right.
And like that one, it felt like, okay, there's something on this, but I don't know. I guess every show's, it's mostly when like I'm trying to move forward. And,
Right.
But I don't know. I try not to like put too much on anything because
all
that is going to happen is what I do.
Yep.
Me thinking about it more, or, like obviously I put more effort into writing and I do that, but me saying this is important, this is going to do everything, what's that doing for me other than getting my emotions all riled up and not letting me think clearly?
Yes, you have to treat it like it's, I'm going to do this thing, worst case scenario, it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
Like that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, I used to have lots of, like, you can put pressure on yourself in certain areas in life, but like comedy, as much as it's so important to me and I do believe that I do a good job and all this stuff, but there's a lot of other times in my life before comedy that were way more intense of pressure. So like, I don't know, I pretend like I'm retired and like do this because it feels like, I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 years in, I took all the kind of pressure off myself and emotions in certain ways. But like, yeah, I've had other things in my life where it's like, okay, I'm in charge of 1,000 people who have to like move to my command and like things like that in my life that have been a lot more high pressure. It's like, if you don't do this, you don't pass this, and you can't, like, I've had so many more high pressure things than comedy.
Right.
But
which
it's
is
not
so crazy.
really high pressure. It's just because my brain at that time thought that this was so important. That's what it is. Now I'm an adult and I'm older and I do hold this just as important. I just try not to get wrapped up in certain things.
I think as soon as you, like when you're trying too hard in comedy, it really can show.
Yeah.
You know,
it's off-putting sometimes, you know.
And what I
but
mean,
you need to be trying hard. That's the problem.
That's the whole trick.
Yeah.
You need to
try so hard.
You need to try, but not look like you're trying.
Yeah, that just comes with time, though.
Yeah,
that just really does come with time.
It does.
Yeah. So like
patience.
Yeah.
Have patience in this fucking art form because it's not a fucking, what's the word? It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Oh yeah.
No wait, is that the right phrase? It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
It's a long game. You can't, like, people complain to me about stuff. I'm like, I don't even want to hear you complain about, like, complain to your friends about it because you need to get that out of your body and you need to, like, figure that out for yourself. But, like, if you're complaining to me about something, it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't really worry about that till, like, 7 years in, like, 6 years in, or, like, 3 years in. Like, I don't know.
What do you think are the complaints? Like, just like, oh, I'm not getting the laughs I want, or...
Yeah, it depends on the person, or, like, this didn't work that way. But, like, yeah, and that's good. Like, be aware of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave me out of it.
Do people run jokes by you a lot?
Well, the thing is I don't know. Not really, a little bit.
Yeah.
The thing is like, I'm in a weird spot right now, right? Because I come back to Halifax and I am like a comic who has more experience and is doing well in certain areas. I'm working myself up to become a headliner and stuff like that. But I'm also out a lot compared to some people, depending on the summer I took a little easy, but other times I'm out around like and doing open mics because I'm working on my shit.
Yeah.
So then I'm around a lot of people who at different times are 6 months in, a year in, 3 years in, 2 years in.
Various levels.
Yeah, I go to different places and I'll headline shows and but a lot of the comics that are around are a lot newer. So when they talk to me as a peer, it's like, I don't see it the same way as you, but yes, deal with this shit. But like, and I'll give little tips and tricks around, but I'm not there for the vent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fair.
Not there for the vent because like, and I can be for my friends at different times. If a close friend of mine or someone needs me, I'm always going to be there for them.
Yeah.
But like,
it is, I gotta say, it's a strange thing. It was strange. It's strange for me because I am many levels down from many of my close friends in comedy.
Yeah.
So it feels kind of lonely sometimes.
No, for sure.
Because I'm like, there's not many people at my...
I don't know if many people I can talk to about things either.
When I started, like when I exactly started,
yeah,
a lot of those people aren't still kicking around. Yeah. So I feel like I started behind. I don't know. It's strange to think of like stages of comedy, but I'm in a weird spot. I'm in that like year and a half, you know, weird phase.
Yeah.
And it can feel lonely.
Big time.
I won't fucking lie.
Comedy is so lonely.
Dude, it's so fucking
it's
lonely.
It's so interesting because, like, I don't know. I'm not used to this whole, like, everyone starts and then they're in a scene and they have this space and everyone knows what shows everyone's on and everyone knows what's happening and who's doing this and who's doing what and how well is this person doing and how many times did that person have this week. I don't know. I started by myself. I started in PEI.
Yeah.
There was like 2 other comics in the province. The rest of the comics would like come back for visits and we put on shows. But I started putting on shows myself and bringing people in. And I would go to New Brunswick. Like if I wasn't in New Brunswick for multiple shows a month, like I get antsy. I would be like a week or 2 if I didn't leave. And I would do all these odd random shows in PEI because it was the only like hireable. It wasn't. I call them joke shows at the time, but so I was doing all this random stuff. So then I come to like scenes, and then people like start, and there's already like people around them. I'm like, get out of here. I don't know how I would have done, because I would be like, leave me alone.
Do you think it's? Do you think
loner,
it's?
lone wolf? Like,
do you think it's good or bad?
Both.
Fascinating.
Because it
can be both.
The amount of people. Now there's a scene in PEI. You know what I mean? And it was growing different times when I was living there too. But like. It's definitely both because I liked going to visit and I'd be like, oh, Brittany's visiting, but I don't have those people to rely on only when I'm in town or like I'm always in a different spot. And I like that for myself personally. I do believe that comedy is a lone wolf game. Like we're one person on stage while we're relying on everyone else for things.
It's not a team sport.
So, but also comics, we like crave like love and attention and affection. And
that's why we like the post-show hang.
Yeah. But we have to also realize that comics aren't generally naturally love givers. So we're often looking for that from them, from what we need. But that's not what they're good at giving or receiving themselves. So sometimes we're looking for this acceptance and things from these people who just aren't good at giving it.
It's like really wanting to make your comedy colleagues respect your comedy. That's a thing that I struggle with. Like, I want comics to be laughing at my stuff. But I shouldn't be thinking about that. I should be thinking about the audience laughing at my stuff.
Because who knows if that comic's running through their jokes in their head or
exactly.
They're distracted because they've been at 7 shows this week and they're tired of listening. I'm going to music lately because I'm like, I don't want to listen to anyone's words anymore. But I do. I still go out.
The human voice. The human voice exhausts me.
Right? Like,
I need to listen to people brushing microphones.
Oh my God,
to feel it all relaxed. I just need them to shut up and whisper and brush a mic with a...
Yeah,
brush.
We're not there for the comics. Everyone's always playing in the back of the room. What do you think about this joke, everyone?
That's
Shut
something
up,
that I really struggle with that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just that sense of like wanting to feel like I belong to something.
Yeah.
And you're right. You have to let go of that
Yeah.
because only you can
Yeah.
develop your own voice.
Yeah.
And comics are hard to make laugh, people. We're the hardest people to laugh at your shit.
I even like when I was putting on shows in PEI, I had a lot of friends who'd come out and they'd come out regularly. And then after like a couple years, I was like realizing my friends weren't good audience members anymore because they were enjoying it. Well, they were enjoying it and they're there, but they've learned comedy a bit. So they aren't surprised as easily.
Exactly.
They've heard all these things and they're like, oh yeah, that was nice. But they aren't reacting with that all involuntary sound like we expect.
Exactly.
And they're like, so it's just yeah, don't be looking at comics for that. Like,
no.
People who are sick, like
it's and yeah. It's that's a struggle.
You got to do stuff that makes you enjoy it because the only thing the crowd just needs to believe you and trust you and know that you're in control.
Yes, that's so much of it is just getting the crowd to trust you. Do not try to impress the comics.
Yeah, I say all this because whatever, but I know I impress the comics, so it doesn't bother me, I guess.
Just take a drink, Brittany. We get it.
Yeah.
Fucking. How long you been doing? How long you been doing comedy?
It'll be like 7 years in January.
Woo!
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But I mean, like and I'm 32 now. I've been public speaking and learning public speaking for 20 years out of my 32 years. Yeah. Being in control over spaces.
I would like Sarah to chime in here because you said something to her before a show that has stuck with her as a new comic. Sarah, can you tell everyone what Brittany said to you once?
I do this a lot. Everyone's got a story of something good Brittany said to them, so let's check it out. What's this one?
I think I told you this on Sunday, but you said to channel all my anxious energy into excited energy, and that's really, really, really helped.
Yeah, change your nerves and anxiousness and be like, oh no, could be excitement. Switch it to that. This is excitement for this. I'm not super nervous. And also, if you're fucking weird and anxious and all this shit, cool, use it. Yeah. The crowd wants you to be you.
Play into it.
The crowd wants you to be you at that time in your life. They don't want you to come in here being all hokey pokey and trying to like be something else. I don't know. I like it when someone's comfortable. Like, it makes me more comfortable when someone's like an oddball,
Because
right?
they're admitting it.
Yeah, or
It's
just
like pointing out the elephant in the room, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So if you're awkward, embrace the awkwardness.
yeah. Just be what you are at that moment, and allow change. Allow for that to change. You don't need to be a certain way forever either. You don't have to like take that and make it a shtick or like make it bold. Just like whatever you are or whatever you're being. And first it's so hard because you're not even being anything. You're just trying to get those words in your mouth. So don't even worry about that yet. Just like let it flow and figure it out and sit in those pauses. Yeah.
Try to have some fun.
Yeah.
Try.
Yeah.
It
Joy and fun is a hard one for a lot of people, but like, yeah, take that pressure off yourself. And because that is how you get good and keep excited about it. Like,
crowd work is something that I'm trying to dive into.
nice.
And it's terrifying.
Oh yeah, it's still terrifying to me. But
Is it? You're so good at it.
I didn't think I was, and then I told someone, I was like, I've been trying to like work on interacting with the crowd and being sillier with them and doing crowd work and stuff. Like, Brittany, you do that.
You do.
Yeah.
You don't.
I don't talk. I don't like say like ask them.
You don't
specific
ask questions, but
I
you make
grab a
observations.
reaction.
Yeah.
I grab a reaction and pull it from there. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is really good. I'm doing the questions thing, but I'm using the excuse that I'm new and I don't know what.
Do you want a tip for
Please do.
crowd work?
Please do.
Anyone who's like asking questions or doing crowd work, someone told this to me. Oh my god! Like I don't know, like 6 years ago, and I really liked it. He said, whenever someone says something, don't say the first thing that pops into your head. Wait a second, and maybe the second, because the first one's obvious. It's not gonna be a laugh.
It's a low-hanging
Everyone's
fruit.
thinking it, right? But when you pause for a second and be like, ooh, and then say something a little different or whatever, then that's
great.
what the laugh is.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah. Thanks,
that's
Brian
good.
Joseph Giles from Maine, USA for that one. Handlebar mustache kind of guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a great point. What if you can't think of anything else though?
That's fine. You can. You'll gather things that you could even be like, someone says something and then they say it. And I did this last night someone had mentioned about people being from Ontario or whatever. And then this one woman was from Ontario. And I said, because I said I was from PEI and she had like claps like, oh, you from there? Or are you just a nice person? She's like, no, I'm not from there. I'm from Ontario. I was like, oh, the first nice Ontario person to ever come to Nova Scotia. And then I like asked her where she was from in Ontario, and she paused a little too long. I was like, never mind, I don't even actually care, so let's just move on. Because I realized I don't know anything about Ontario. Like, I don't know what to say about that. And I was like, whatever.
I actually do really like those moments where like you ask an audience member something and they answer, and then you just go, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway. Like I kind of find those moments a bit funny because it's just like because you're essentially admitting to like this conversation's boring.
Yeah, I was like,
we're not gonna get anything out of this.
Yeah, like a couple weeks ago at Yuck Yucks, I was hosting, and the first night, like they were both at the rowdy table in the back. Like both first night they got kicked out. Second night they didn't. But first night, one of the people I asked what the person's name was, and I think she said like Patricia or something like that, and there was like a loud, excitable table. I was like, oh, really? Because it was a birthday, so I was talking to her. I was like, oh, Patricia, I've never seen a Patricia have fun before. And then like played on that a bit. And then the next night at the same table, someone else was like, had said her name was Colleen. And then I was like, oh, I love a Colleen. Like, it's just, I don't know, how does it actually make you feel as opposed to like reacting?
I love a Colleen.
I do. I've got some
You really have
Colleens.
to like go with your instinct, I think.
Yeah.
And not be afraid to like say something. I think if you say things with conviction,
boldness makes
boldness.
Yeah, boldness is important.
It is.
That's how we cut down your jokes too. I was talking to someone the other day, a comic from PEI, who just asked me to give her some feedback from a show we had done together a couple weeks ago, and I had written some notes in my book, and I just forgot to reach out to her, so we just had a little video chat, and I just like let her know a few things, and then one of the things I said was she's just working on cutting down her wording because she is very new. So she's like, okay, well, think this might mean this and that. And I was just like, no, just tell him.
Yeah.
Tell him what it is. But you don't have to tell him, like, be bold all the time. You can use your inflection or the way you move to say the extra words. Like, they can tell by your body what you mean. You don't just like the way you're leaning into things, leave little gaps out, because if not, their brain's not excited. They need to jump a little bit to keep them going. You don't need to tell them all those things. Yeah. Keep them engaged and keep them excited. Like, my brain gets bored, so
you're not just giving it all to them.
Yeah.
Like,
they can work for a little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the wordiness thing, word economy and jokes. Ugh, it's so tough.
It is tough.
Trying to just get things tight.
Yeah.
I really admire people who can do long form jokes, because it's a skill that, like, I don't even want to touch it. I don't even want to touch it.
I like listening to it. I don't want it to be part of me. I don't know.
Because yours are, like, medium.
Listen.
Medium-sized jokes?
My jokes, if you actually, like, pay attention to them and see how they're written out, they're tiny. But what they are is they're a bunch of lines that are funny, and some of them are set up and punch. But then, like, Sarah Silverman has this special where she says something. She's like, oh, that's a throwaway joke. I love Sarah Silverman. But
I love Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, I hate almost everyone in the world, but she's great. So yeah, it's just like, she's like, oh, well, that's a throwaway joke. And she's like, do you know what's cool about a throwaway joke? Is you don't even mention it. It's like shooting a basketball and then looking the other, getting into the hoop and then looking the other way. So a lot of mine are just like very particular wording of short lines that all can link together to be like one actual joke. But those lines can go anywhere. It's weird. I got this weird thing going on with my comedy and trying to figure that out. And some of my jokes are literally like 10 seconds or like less. But then that joke goes next to this joke and goes next to this joke. It all makes a story in the end. So it all kind of wraps around.
Everything leads. Do you find that hard then to like rearrange? Like, do you find that you're doing sets like in particular orders all the time, or are you kind of mixing it up?
I can never do a set in the exact same order ever again.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I probably would do better. Like, I probably would have. But
that's
I like
always
the
something
loose
I
feeling
wonder
and
about.
movement, because I love learning my material so well that at certain shows I can have a rough structure of what the set's going to be. But then if I have someone get excited about this joke I said, I was like, well, I got 3 other jokes about that kind of thing. So then I pull those in and then pull around. Like, it's all about me. So it's not like I have to like set the scene too much, but I have to know like which jokes, because if it's like writing jokes and bits and chunks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it all can flow and have different rhythms and stuff. But I don't know.
Like
I'm
when you're
weird.
starting, would you recommend people stick to a certain set list, or
I don't
get in the
fucking know.
habit of mixing it up? I think you gotta mix it up.
Depends what you get excited about, because it's different too, right? Like, some people here are like, oh my god, this person's been doing the same joke for a year. I was like, in Toronto, you literally do your jokes to perfect them until they're perfect. Your 5-minute set. So like, I don't know. If that feels good for you, like, write out a set and like make that a set. And then once that's perfected, like, literally you can like record that and then revert back when you have to build another set onto it, and everything's fixed up, and then you're working on things like inflection and movement and wording. But when you're new, I don't know, just write jokes and say them. I don't know.
I love that. That's it. Write jokes, say 'em.
Yeah, and stop talking to me.
I love it.
I told someone recently, I was like, you don't need to be telling people that I'm nice. They know I'm nice and they know I'm kind, but like,
You're such a Scorpio.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you think?
Can't you see the heart exterior with the heart of gold?
Yeah.
What how are you doing depression wise lately? Are you depressed? Happy? What's the scale?
Yeah, no, I feel pretty good. I actually
Good.
yeah, I'm not dealing with depression right now, which feels good. I definitely deal with it on and off. Like, ask me again later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, anyone, yeah, depression's a tough one, especially with, like, I mean, everyone knows my joke. Before I wrote my bipolar joke, like, I'd only 5 people in my life had known, and I'd been diagnosed with bipolar like 7 years before. A lot of times people, things kind of come out in my comedy world, and then I start letting people know, because I need to find the wording that feels safe for me to get that out of my mouth. And then when you say jokes, it gets that out of your body, and then you can process it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing well with depression right now. You know, little mushrooms.
Yeah.
Once in a while I can fix that up. But being bipolar is a little bit tough, but it's bipolar too, so it's not as extreme. But you deal with more like hypomania, like hyperness, and having things be difficult to get done. But the depression can often be have a stronger hold on you, last longer, because you're not just up and down. But depressions can be a lot deeper and darker for people with bipolar 1. But bipolar 2, it can like
Is
stretch out
bipolar
more.
1 more outbursty?
Well, it's like
or manic-y?
yeah,
Manic-y?
Bipolar 1's like mania and depression, and both have the risks of psychotic breaks as well. Like from that, because if you manic too long, then you can.
When were you diagnosed?
I don't know. I was like 23.
Yeah, that's pretty young.
Yeah, well, if you misbehave, they tend to pay attention.
You're just fun.
Yeah. No, I think my whole life, I think I dealt with the depression side of it my whole life, but being bipolar 2, where it's not, I'm in control of stuff too, right? So.
Did you find getting a diagnosis and having a title on things helped you?
I don't fucking know. Like, probably.
Yeah. Like, do you kind of like that you have like a name for it? Like a.
Yeah, I think now I really need to deal more with like figuring out the ADHD part, because I think that has a lot to do with my main problems compared to that the bipolar, because I do feel like I'm
sneaky
stable.
bitch, that ADHD. It just sneaks. We just have it, and it's just so fucking sneaky, and you don't know you have it, and then you start to identify with it, and then you're like, oh, do I have it or do I not? Even just how I'm talking right now is very ADHD.
I don't have the hyperactiveness from it. It's a lot of the inattentiveness, the executive function issues, like,
and
people in my
that's
life. Anyone who's ever made complaints about me, like growing up in my family and all these things, I was like looking back to the things that people used to complain about, and I was like, oh well, maybe if you just I can see where those are coming from. Those are traits of shit. Yeah, it probably does make a lot of sense, because there's been times in my life where my depression's been like pretty, still do fucking shows, but like I'm not being able to. It's such a huge deal to even like get meds or like eat food or like all these things that people deal with. It's not unique to me, but yeah, I guess being labeled maybe made it better. But I think what really made it better was writing a joke about it, which the only way I can write a joke about it is if I had that, because no one in my life knew about it till I wrote that joke about it the first time I lived in Halifax.
That's such an interesting thing, the idea of like kind of not talking about. It's like finding out that when I found out Mitch was a dad, it was from a stand-up joke. When I found out Ian was going to be a dad, it was from a stand-up joke. It's just funny to me that like us comics, like we use our jokes as like little mini announcements. Like,
well, so many people found out I was gay from
sexuality.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
It's because that's why we say that like sometimes we're like, jokes are vulnerable. I was like, yeah, but we're in control of that space. We can say it how we want to say it, and people can listen, and then if we want to give them more, we can, but we don't have to.
And we don't have to engage in a conversation. We can just say our piece and
deal with it at home and process it and talk about it more with our friends later. True. It's funny, the very intelligent, fantastic, a bunch of positive compliments. The great Sarah Silverman says this. It's actually a Mr. Rogers quote, but who cares? She says it's if it's mentionable, it's manageable, and that has like changed my life.
If it's mentionable, it's manageable. If you can say it, like if you can say it out loud.
Yeah, there's so many things in my life that I've never been able to say out loud, and as soon as you start saying it out loud, you find different ways to work around it.
It's freeing.
If you can't say it out loud, well, I mean, things are still manageable. You're still surviving. You're still in survival mode and still getting through or whatever. But yeah, if it's mentionable, it's manageable. Like the things that I've said on stage, then I can process it. I've had like a lot of growth and change this summer because, you know, the joke we're not going to talk about, but that says in May when I started telling that joke, that's the first time no one knows. Like my brother and stuff, like I talked to him about it after, but saying that on a stage was like, shit, now I got to deal with this. So a lot of like, that is just getting that shit out of your body. Like it's the same as like music and like art and all these different things. That's how you get the trauma and hurt and all this outside, because you carry that all in your body. I used to like, someone would touch my lower back years ago and I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, this is how you show someone that they're safe. And I was like, oh.
What was it like when you said the joke for the first time?
For the first time, not too bad, but that was outside. But the first time inside, oh, it felt good. Like it felt so good, because like I crushed that room by being myself in a good way. Like that, to the date, that was my favorite set.
It's like,
not anymore. I've had different sets since, but like to date, that was like one of my favorite sets. I had sent it to a friend. He's like, whoa, this is great. There's a lot of other new stuff too in that set that I like kind of worked on before the lockdown and stuff. Well, it feels good to accept something that you've ignored and dealt with all the consequences your whole life.
And own it finally. You're
Not even I guess own it or steps towards owning it.
Yeah.
But realizing that something's affected your life so negatively in so many different ways and you've held it inside your body and you hold trauma in your body and then all of a sudden you're able to release that a little bit.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
It's therapeutic.
Something. It's a release of some sort.
Wow.
That's all it is. It's a mentionable, it's manageable kind of thing,
If
right?
it's mentionable, it's manageable.
Yeah.
How do you get something to be mentionable?
I don't know.
I guess that's a whole
Mushrooms.
that can help.
No, it's everything, right? You have to feel safe. You have to feel comfortable because if you don't feel safe to express certain things, then you won't. And that's okay. Sometimes the reason you aren't ready to express it is because it's not time yet. You can't force that out of your body. I don't know.
Do you think something like writing it down is as cathartic as saying it? Because there's something
depends on the person.
That's the thing with stand up. It's such a fucking it's you and a microphone and
bold,
a crowd.
Yeah.
It's truly the most. You don't have a band playing behind you.
Yeah.
You don't, it's just you and a mic.
Yeah.
But I often think when people journal or they write. Sarah and I were talking about this last night. The idea of writing letters to people who you've had falling outs with.
Yeah.
And I often go, I feel like it's going to make me feel better, even though the result might stay the same.
It's going to make you feel better.
It's releasing something.
Well, when you do it at a time, I've been trying to start journaling and stuff, but this is the thing. I'll be upset about something, and then 2 days later, I was I guess I will journal about it after I've already gotten over it.
Right. And then you're I don't know what to say now.
Yeah. I was oh, things were weird. Now they're cool. But get it out. You got to do the whole stream your thoughts. You can't just be okay, I'm gonna journal and make it have to be perfect. I'll be perfectionist about it. Get that shit out. That's good. Because then when you get it out, written out, it's I say when you're talking about something, sometimes you got to get it out of your mouth first. When people are uncomfortable or scared to open up and stuff like that, I like to be a safe space for them. Be listen, cool. Everything sucks, but the first time you get it out, just get that shit out of your body. Get those words out. And it's not going to be right. It's not going to feel good. Every third sentence, you're going to be that's not actually how I feel. But you just need to get it out, and then you can work on perfecting actually how you feel and how to explain it. Because this summer, it's funny, I grew up, my mom had this whole thing, a brag thing where she'd be she's none of my kids ever told me that they hated me. They'd say my friends' kids would be I hate you, and she's none of you ever said that to me. And then she looked at me and she goes, you used to just say that you hated yourself. I was okay, I'm glad we didn't address that. But then this summer I was spending time with someone, and she'd do this thing where she'd be I hate everything, and just certain times, and it'd be funny to me because no, you don't. She's yeah, I hate everything, and I just kind of laugh about it, but also you're being dramatic. But then I one day was a little upset about something, and I just go, oh, I hate everything. And I was oh my God, that feels so good.
Right.
Oh my God, everything sucks. I hate everything.
Yes.
Everything is trash because I've always been aware of other people's feelings around me.
But you haven't felt free enough to do that, to say I hate everything.
Because I really don't. But yeah, it feels, oh my God.
But it's okay that it's not it's not literal. You're getting the feeling.
But my whole life, everything has to be literal, and because walking on eggshells and making sure everyone's cool and keep things literal so that no one's getting hurt. But also that's part of the thing is oh, and I'm scared of how I'm going to treat people because I don't feel how good this feels. But I don't think that's a risk for me. But holy fuck, I should be screaming I hate everything. And
that's why they say you should if you're in a forest or on a cliff, you should just yell.
Oh, I'm all about that. I go and just yell at some trees, hit them with sticks. I'm all about because people you got to get that out of you got to get it out because
with sticks.
Oh, you haven't done that? You haven't
hit the trees with their children?
I talked to the tree first because I want them to know this is for me and we're doing this together,
Right.
Yeah.
I just love that.
Because plants can take that in. Oh yeah, you got to.
It's I'm huge into there's like a toxic positivity movement happening right now where everything has to be so positive and affirming. I'm all about harmless negativity.
Yeah, and controlled chaos.
Harmless negativity. Like, if you're saying everything sucks, it's not really hurting anyone to say that. Say it.
Yeah, I like that, Sarah.
Say it. Harmless negativity.
That's probably half of my personality.
Harmless negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do have a very positive outlook and a good perspective on most things, but also I like to be like, someone the other day, I was like, someone was like, a mosquito on your face. I was like, it's November. There shouldn't be this. And he's like, they actually came in. They're Japanese mosquitoes. I was like, I don't give a shit. It's November. There shouldn't be a mosquito on my face. He's like, well, I'm just telling you where they came from. Why is it? I don't care. This is not okay with me. Yeah.
Be thankful. And also, I'd like to also normalize the idea of like, you don't have to be friends with every single goddamn person that you work with.
When do we stop loving villains? I'm sorry. I'm just like, when do we think everyone has to be nice to us and be around us and be our friend and like you? No one has to like you. It's none of your damn business what everyone thinks of you. Shut up and deal with your own shit. And if you maybe deal with your emotions and process those, you'll think of things more factually and not assume that everyone's out to get you. Because
yes.
Lower level conflict management resolution has been a thing I've studied at different times in my life. And listen, the way you think about things and the way you talk to your own personal friends with the same opinion and just blow things up all into a thing, and then you think that that's a fact, I don't know.
Yep.
Deal with your own shit.
Deal with your own
and stop
shit.
Stop trying to have an effect on other people. Comics, you are a comic. We're not a troupe. We're not this. We're not even a scene, really. Anyone can leave and move and come and visit. Just like, when do we stop rooting for the villain? Like, obviously we don't want a villain, like, to hurt, like, whatever, but are we not supposed to have different opinions? Are we not supposed to have different styles of expressing ourselves? Are we not supposed to deal with our shit and then be a different person in 4 years and then whatever? Like, I don't know. Get over it. Someone doesn't like it. Sorry, this should have been the rant.
I love this because I feel like there's this weird pressure
to be
supportive of everyone.
Yeah. Well, where's the time left for yourself?
You don't necessarily have to be.
No. Treat people with respect.
Yes.
If you can.
Yes.
If you can't, maybe you're going through shit. I don't know. But also, stop putting so much weight on what other people think of you. And also,
they're not thinking of you. We're all thinking of ourselves.
Well, or they're thinking of you through a lens of selfish ways to make themselves feel better or get what they can get out of that.
What they can get out of you.
Yeah. So I was back home when I was doing the show, and I've never really said this as a joke, but I think I'm going to work on it. Is about like I'm gathering people in the world who just don't like me because other people like me. I had never thought about this before, but I've been gathering a few. We got like right now we got there's this person that like growing up I was like in grade 12 or something. I was friends with my friend Cal, and I was like, why doesn't this person like me? And she goes, well, you were friends with me first. And she's got this weird jealousy thing. We'd never talked before. And I was like, okay, that's weird. But then it starts happening more. I have another person, when I was leaving PEI, I was a comic, and he just does not like me for no reason, whatever. Maybe because I don't suck his dick or like kiss his ass or anything like that. Maybe. But it's their own insecurities. I've got a few more. I got like 4 or 5 right now. Throughout.
Really?
But then none of these people can complain about me because everyone kind of likes me. But that's what it is. It's people's insecurities. Like, get over yourselves.
Sometimes
there are people around that have their opinions and are hurt by other people's actions, even when it doesn't affect them, and that's fine. But get over it, or don't get over it, and don't expect anything to change. Like,
no, that's true. That's very true.
Jealousy is
brutal.
Yeah, because a lot of the times comics who like generally just want to do comedy and love the comedy, we usually are pretty like modest, and our egos aren't big because we're doing it for like the whole picture. Like people who think that like comedy is a Halifax thing or whatever. It's like, listen, this is the tiniest little nugget of this.
I know.
This show is not like this. The only time it's comedy is like the stage and when you're out there and like it's in the room and the setup, and
that's right.
It's like chill out with all your opinions and chill out with like what people don't want you and being part of certain things, because I don't know.
It's not worth it.
Well, it's not that it's not worth it. It's like you're actually not even going to get better or like get joy out of it if you keep adding these extra layers of things you need to feel good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking true that, girl.
I'm such a little like genuinely honest rude person lately, and I love it.
But you know what?
It's not rude. It's just
no. You're honest.
Yeah.
There's so many people who can't be honest.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Like I hate when you like see someone and you're like,
it took me a long time to
you're
do this.
really just not being honest, and you're being like, I can tell when someone's fake.
Yeah,
I can
of course.
very much so tell.
When someone's words and their actions and their body language, all that doesn't line up, I can't trust it, and I can't allow that into my space. So a lot of the people that don't like me, it's because I haven't accepted them like I accept other people, because it doesn't feel safe to me. I can't. I need to feel safe in my space. I'm learning that now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that has to do with like, I need to trust that you're being honest and your words mean what your words actually mean. Otherwise, I don't know. I got 75 other people I'm going to hang out with this week that I don't have to add you in. Like, I can't do that because of the history of my life. There's a lot of people that let me down a lot.
This is why when you're ever going through like some sort of like transformative self, like which is what you're doing right now.
Thanks.
You'll notice like when people start to do this type of self work, they lose friends, and they actually, their circle of friends gets smaller because they actually realize who they can truly
weed out.
Trust and those who you can't, like.
And then after it grows,
and
because
then
you start finding spaces that
exactly,
and then you start seeing what you want from other people and and it's not about wanting that for them. It's being like, how do we genuinely add to each other? Because some person, I could find them the most charming and wonderful person to be around, and all I know is they're in the same space as me, having coffee for an hour and a half, 2 hours a day in the backyard. Like, I don't need anything from them, but boy, do they bring me joy, vice versa.
Yeah.
We gotta start meeting people where they're at. And stop expecting them to like, is this a comedy podcast or is this my therapy session?
No, I
tell.
love this. No.
Yeah.
It's deep and funny.
Yeah, like, that's the thing is meet people where they're at, and like, if someone doesn't have a lot to give, then either move on to someone else who does, or don't expect anything from them, and just maybe show them some kindness. Maybe they are lacking that in their space.
So true. That's a great way to think of it.
Yeah, we can't,
because we too often get offended, and then I always think of it like when you reject someone, like if someone admits they have feelings for you, and you have to say like, no, I don't feel the same way. Like the reason we hate rejecting people is because we don't like to be rejected.
Yeah,
but we have to do it.
Yeah.
So you have to go, this just has to happen, and I've done it, so they're going to do it to me, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know? It's the same kind of thing. It's, meet people where they're at. I like that. Yeah. Brittany.
Yeah.
We're just about to hit 2 hours.
Holy
I know, right?
Wow.
Welcome to the podcast Time Warp. Anything else that you would like to bring up or talk about before we wrap?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe give me a little follow on there on the Instagram at Brittany Makes Jokes if you want. I got some exciting things I want to be throwing out in the future, and I'm just excited about, as much as I say like don't talk to me and all this shit, I do enjoy those conversations. It's just don't even just accept how I react. You don't even have to change who you are. I'm not asking anyone to be a certain way around me. I'm just saying that what I can give, and maybe I'll love that conversation if it was at a different time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Just like respect what other people are going through and what other people are dealing with.
One of the 4 agreements.
Yeah.
Don't take things personally.
Don't take things personally. Also, maybe take things personally sometimes, but
true.
No, just deal with your own self, and when you can't deal with yourself, that's fine. Like, just exist. We can't, I don't know. I'm just in a big kick of just being figuring out myself a little bit, and
self-forgiveness.
Yeah. And showing the world some love. But I've realized that like that can't be for everyone. And I used to just want that to be for everyone. And now I have to leave some left for myself.
Yes, bitch.
Yeah.
And you should.
Yeah.
So I hope that the next time I ask you to do something, you'll say no. I love that take on it. That's my favorite thing about this whole self-love, self-care movement is like friends will start to get happy when you turn them down, because they'll go, no, good. You're taking care of yourself, and I want to see you take care of yourself. Like, to actually respond with, hey, Brett. Okay, so let's do a role play right now. Ready?
So
okay.
hard.
Hey, Brittany. A bunch of us are having drinks tomorrow night. Do you want to come?
No, I'm doing a show in New Glasgow.
You failed. You failed.
I know. No. Okay,
let's try again.
Let's do it again.
Let's try again. Hey, Brittany. A bunch of us are having drinks tomorrow night. Do you want to come out?
Who's gonna be there? Anyone cool?
Oh, I hate that response. That's the worst response. It's the two Sarahs, Sarah McClellan and Sarah Nicole.
No, I'm good, thanks.
No, you gotta say, no, I'm tired and I'm gonna stay in.
Okay. Let's try this again.
Okay. A bunch of us are having drinks tomorrow night. Do you want to come out?
Nah, bitch.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. I hope you enjoy your night.
Yeah, you too. I really enjoy who you are as a human, but I can't tonight. Enjoy yourself.
There's no judgment on either end. We are all going to have the nights we wanted.
Yeah.
And it's not personal. Why is this such a big fucking deal?
Because a lot of us have abandonment issues, and a lot of us have shit that hurts, and we forget about other people's reaction, other people's feelings, and all these things. But I don't know. I think it's too, like, the pandemic made us slow down, and then it made us realize, because we started speeding up again, and then we started feeling uncomfortable and a little awkward socially. But now that we're past that point, we're, like, starting to actually figure out, I think, what we actually enjoy being around.
So true. It's a great way to
But we have still have all these old patterns that keep creeping in. So
we're all trying our best, okay? I adore you.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you for doing this awesome episode. I think a lot of people will relate to this and want to hear it. So follow Brittany on Instagram. Once it again,
At Brittany Makes Jokes.
Brittany Makes Jokes. It's a great Instagram handle.
Yeah.
Because she makes jokes. She's damn good at telling them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
This was excellent. And we still end the episode the same way. You get to ring the bell. It's the battle cry of the end. Beautiful. The end. 2 hours. Yeah, that's for sure. Thank you for listening to the Intoxicated Podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, make sure you subscribe on whatever podcast app you use and leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. You can also give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Intoxicated Podcast, and check out our video episodes on the Intoxicated YouTube channel. Until next week, feel hard and talk hard. Intoxicated Podcast is hosted and produced by Sarah McClellan, co-produced by Sarah Nicole, and brought to you by the messiness of life.